What? Welcome back to another edition of Traits Triumph by way of What's the Play production. I'm Christian, here with SportsFan and Busy Bee, and we're back with another edition. And we're here with our pass catcher episode. A lot of people's favorite position group in the NFL and college football, so have you. We're going to cover the receivers and the tight ends today. We're going to put them together, talk about our favorite pass catchers, how we would rank them. We're probably going to put them in some tiers and give you all some sleepers at the end, of course, so you all know the drill. Before we get into it, be sure to leave a like, comment who your favorite receiver in the draft is, and share it with a friend. Share it with your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever you got to do. Send it to them so we can help and give you guys some more content as we continue to grow. Brian, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to you if you want to get started with tier one. None of us are receiver experts because, but we could just go to Brian first. Last episode was a SportsFan special, but.
Yeah, so we can start with, I'll start with my first receiver on the list. So first guy I had was Carnell Tate. Not too much of a surprise there. For me, he feels like a guy that's going to be, at very worst, probably a vertical threat that also is good underneath. But he's very good at stretching the field. He's a guy that can be a possession receiver as well. I think that obviously the lazy comparison would probably be like who am I thinking about? Terry McLaurin, obviously, because he with Ohio State was a possession receiver and was a deep threat. But like I said, that would be the lazy comparison. But obviously, to me, he's more than that. I think he's a guy that will probably be the Z receiver out of the gate, but he has the chance of being an X as he becomes more experienced. Yeah, but that's probably what I would say for Tate right now.
Carnell Tate, receiver one. SportsFan, do you have the same?
Same receiver one? No. But kind of, it's nothing like that. I can understand when I get to my receiver one, you'll see why. It's definitely like a injury thing there that I'm just praying checks out. And we won't know until, I guess, a week before the draft, according to his workouts, or the day of when he gets drafted, if NFL teams believe him or not. But no, Carnell Tate, I think he's just, I would say in terms of smoothness to the game, I can see the Terry comp. He's definitely a smooth route runner. And he's definitely skinnier than I think most people know. I think he's like 6'2", 192, which, isn't like, crazy skinny. But if you think about it, there's DBs that's like 6 foot 192, 5'11", 192, 180. In the NFL, these corners are, a lot stronger than they are in college. And when he played against, I'm trying to think, was it Miami or some team? They really when they put hands on him, it got him kind of knocked off his route, and that's something that's going to happen way more in the league. They're not as passive with their hands. So I'm curious to see how he does if he kind of builds out his frame a little more. And I also don't think he has real top end speed. So I wouldn't say he's explosive. He can definitely set DBs up with his route running, with his change of pace in his routes. But I wouldn't say somebody that you can think really takes off the top on a defense. So that's why he's not my wide receiver one. He's my wide receiver two. But I would say, other than my wide receiver one, I would say he's probably one of the few receivers in this drive you can kind of expect to kind of play the X or the outside receiver role kind of off rip. Those type of receivers are hard to find, and when their one is valued as much as Carnell Tate has been, they're going to probably go top 10 as Carnell Tate has been projected. So I can see why he's Brian's number one. If you got anything, Mingles?
Yeah. Before I was gonna share my receiver one, I was gonna ask if we were doing this based off the knowledge that we have on the injuries, or based off tape. Because I feel like my wide receiver one, as SportsFan is also Jordyn Tyson. And it's nothing.
I could have said Makai Lemon.
No, that's not what you were gonna say though.
Yeah, you're right.
As soon as you said injury, the whole world knew who you was talking about. And it's nothing really against Carnell Tate. I feel like in this class, when it comes to true outside receivers, he's my second guy. And so I kind of, in my mind, like Brian before the episode asked if we were going to group the tight ends and the receivers together. I was like, however we tear them all together, because the outside receivers and the slot guys all have different roles in itself. So including them all together, I view them all having different roles. So Carnell Tate being the second outside receiver probably has him higher on a lot of teams' boards because Jordyn Tyson does have the injury concern. I would have liked to see how this draft process would have played out if Jordyn Tyson didn't have this concern, to see if Carnell Tate still would have been the consensus one. But for me, Jordyn Tyson's tape just stands out year to year. Carnell Tate had a great this past season, and he's been a decent receiver, highly touted. He's clearly at Ohio State. But Jordyn Tyson has been doing his thing for the past couple of years, but there's been an injury every year. So hopefully these knick-knack injuries are not something that pile up and continue to show up, even though it's still apparent currently because he hasn't had the pro day that we're expecting yet. So hopefully we can get something from him that can boost his stock on the board. But until then, he's still my receiver one until I see something that knocks him down. But Tate is right there for me as well.
Yeah. So like you guys said, it was pretty close as well. I had Tyson as my 2 just because I feel like looking at the 2, I think I value being able to stretch the field a little bit more. Like, of course, I think Tyson's the better getting yards after the catch and doing things of that nature. But I feel like, at least for me in this situation, I felt like Tate would be better as the deep threat guy. So that's why I took him had him as my wide receiver 1. But I can understand why Tyson would be the wide receiver 1 for most people. But I just had him as my 2 just because I think I like Tate's abilities a little bit more just in terms of stretching the field. Even though I know Tyson's pretty good at high pointing the football and also making plays down the field as well.
I'll admit, even though I have Tate as my wide receiver too, I'm not saying he's a bad prospect. I think, I'm pretty sure they're both 6'2". I would say Tyson's maybe like 5 to 10 pounds heavier. And route running wise, I say they're very similar in capability. So I can see, one team just saying, well, we similarly grade them the same way. Tyson's injury concerns is hard to ignore, and NFL they don't take that very lightly. So I'm just assuming the medicals are going to check out. That's just my assumption. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not gonna, outside of and unless somehow a report comes out and he first run at his pro day he pulls a hammy or something like that, then I can understand. But I'm going to assume he'll check out. Pray for the best, and either way, I think whoever teams get Tyson or Tate, they'll probably be happy with what they get. Prospect wise, we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
I think my next receiver that I'd like to talk about, and I don't know where you all have him, and I feel like recently he's been a little polarizing, but seeing how you all feel about Makai Lemon in comparison to the first 2 that we already talked about, maybe not so extensively already with Jordyn Tyson, but we've discussed to a T Carnell Tate. And I believe, Brian, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but is Jordyn Tyson your 2?
Yeah, Tyson's my 2.
And SportsFan is Carnell Tate. You said that's your 2 as well?
Correct.
So Makai Lemon, for me, like I said, the outside and the guys who I would view purely as slot, I don't really have them in the same order. In the same list. But if I had to, group them all together, Makai Lemon is in contention for that 2 spot with Carnell Tate. So I wanted to see what you all thought about Makai Lemon, and then I'll talk a little bit about how I view him as a prospect.
Yeah, so I have Lemon right there. My tier 1 is the final guy. I think he's the guy that's probably going to be, as Chris basically just alluded to, he'll be a slot guy, for the most part. But I think he'll be good in the intermediate game for sure. He'll probably get good yards after the catch. I also think he'll be able to be a Z receiver in the right offense, probably more West Coast type style, where he's able to motion, but also be a guy that's able to run, as we said, short to intermediate route. So I think he's a guy that So I think Makai's a guy that's probably going to be able to put up good numbers his first season, depending on what team he ends up with. So yeah, it's probably gonna be a team dependent thing. But I think if you have a team that has a defined X, I think that doesn't have to operate in the slot. I think you probably have a guy that you probably have a team where Makai works well in that fashion.
I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50. It's like based on, his measurables, and he doesn't really look that, fast or explosive. I mean, he gets open, which is always the main goal of any receiver. He gets open. He's, you know, I'll just say, like, in terms of the best way of, like, how I describe him as a prospect, he just got that dog in him. And it's really, if you watch him, you're like, damn, how is he really getting open like that? He's not that fast, and he's not that tall, and he's not like out leading people, but he just get open. And even if he's not open, he's making contested catches. He wins on a lot of routes. But the main things, that's kind of opposite of what Tate and Tyson got going for him. He's not 6'2", he's like 5'11". There's 5'11" outside receivers, but there's not many of them that can play primary outside. So he's gonna have to probably play the slot. And it'd be nice if there's already a designated, legitimate outside receiver that's kind of already there, but I'm not sure that's necessary. I would say, we got examples like Amara and other receivers like that. I mean, I hate to say his name. I don't want to bring shame to his name, just even speaking of him like this in such a way. But Cooper Kupp, there's other receivers in the slot that have dominated, and I mean, there's been receivers that we thought can only play the slot, like Justin Jefferson and JSN, but then they come into the league and they're able to dominate all over. So I'm not going to say he'll probably always be in the slot. He can probably play in the outside too. We won't know because he didn't do a lot of it at USC. But because they had Jacoby Lane, if I'm pronouncing his name right, on the outside. So, he was the best receiver in college, correct? Makai Lemon? He did win the award. So, he dominated the competition. So I'm just interested to see kind of fit-wise what team gets him, because it definitely is going to be a little, not scheme dependent, but getting him in the right situations to see. Because if you just get him out there, he's just running routes like any other receiver, it's just not going to work. But you got to kind of have him put in a situation where he can actually succeed. He's not my wide receiver 3 though, I'll admit. But I definitely think he's going to get drafted pretty high, and he's going to go first round, of course, probably somewhere in that 10 to 20 range. Kind of depends on where teams grade him overall, just due to his size. And once again, it's just no combine measurables on any of these guys, so I'm just winging it based on what I see on the film. But there's definitely, like, I feel like the most known comp for him right now has been Doug Baldwin or Amon-Ra. If he turns out one of those type players, that's great. So it's definitely based on me, I don't think he's a bad prospect. I don't think his ceiling is as high as some people might believe. So, but I think the floor is really high for him. That makes sense. So that's kind of how I see him.
Yeah, when you say the ceiling, because a lot of these, especially past couple years, slot guys, they get the same comparisons. They get the Amon-Ra, they get the JSN, and even like you said, the Justin Jefferson, which would be like the high end of players who were primary slot guys in college, who potentially probably primary slot guys as well in the NFL, which was Amon-Ra. But JSN and Justin Jefferson, like you mentioned, have been able to expand their game more so to the outside as well. But with Makai, I don't necessarily see the similarities between those players in terms of how they play. I do see the similar roles, because I do believe that Makai in the NFL will be a slot guy who may have the upside of moving outside at times. But his best ball will probably come in the slot. But I will say, like you did mention, in this class, and I don't have the numbers in front of me to compare him to the other players, if he's not one, I know he's probably top 3 in his contested catch rate. And we mentioned him at 5'11".
I could tell you he was 56%. I'm pretty sure that If that's not the highest, it's one of the highest.
And for him at 5'11", maybe 190, that's a selling point for me to show that there's some outside juice there. Because straight line speed, he's not going to have. We saw his pro day 40. I think he ran 4.5 something, but it wasn't a pretty 4.5. He's not even a fluid route runner the way that JSN and Amon Ra are. But he, like SportsFan said, he gets open. That's the name of the job. Like, it may not look the best. He may not have the prettiest routes, and he may not be able to get past the corner with the 4.3 speed. But 4.5 guy who gets open and has a high contested catch rate, I'm sold on. Now,
I will say one more thing to add before you say Mingles. Compared to Tate and Tyson, Makai Lemon is way better after the catch than those two, just in my opinion. So that's another thing. Even if he's not like getting open down the field, you give it something short, he can break a tackle or two. I think he was like 8th in the in college football for broken tackles for a receiver. So he definitely, there's ways to utilize him that that doesn't involve him being a straight burner. You can quick routing,
especially with him profiling be a slot guy, that after the catch matters just as much as the route running matters for him, because he'll be working a lot of the times in the middle of the field. So for me, the ideal draft as a Commanders fan, because everybody knows that we're looking at almost every position other than quarterback and offensive line in this draft, that if it gets to 7 and a receiver is who they want to take, and this is how I'm basing my board this year, at least with these top 3. The rest, I'm not really considering as options at 7. But if Carnell Tate is on the board, Jordyn Tyson is on the board, Makai Lemon is on the board, my preference is that we try to move back and get somebody because, like I've already said, Carnell Tate isn't my receiver 1. My preference would be to get back into the early teens, and if Jordyn Tyson's medicals don't check out, I would prefer Makai Lemon at 11 over Carnell Tate at 7, or wherever the pick is with Makai Lemon. There's rumors that he could go as early as what pick does the Saints have? 8?
Yeah.
They have interest in Makai Lemon. So his range is really all over the place. But I've heard that it may not get past the Rams. So Carnell Tate at 7, Makai Lemon at 11. It's like, do I like Carnell Tate as a receiver that much better than Makai Lemon? I can say that I don't. But I can understand people valuing that true outside X receiver ability that Carnell Tate has. But just for me, I value who can I get the ball to 8 to 10 times a game, and they can get me some production, whether that's from the inside, the outside. If this was a tight end, I'd be saying the same thing. So I have Jordyn Tyson 1 with the medicals checking out, Makai Lemon 2, and then Carnell Tate 3. And that could be bold, but that's how I have it so far. The SportsFan said Makai Lemon isn't his 3, so I want to know who he has at number 3 on his board.
Yeah, I can. Before I get to that, I want to make it clear though. Even though I don't have Makai Lemon as my 3, I think Lemon, Tate, or Tyson, they're all going to be drafted pretty highly. They're graded very highly across the league. Just shows how loaded this wide receiver class is. I feel like we might see 5 to 6 get drafted night 1. It wouldn't be surprising. Receivers always need in the league. So when the draft is lacking on certain positions like running back or quarterback, receiver is going to get picked up, especially when the class is loaded. They're going to get drafted highly. Now, I admit, when I originally was looking at my wide receiver 3 film, it wasn't as much. I guess his name wasn't talked about as much, just due to his stats wasn't like popping off the screen. But I was watching. Hold on. I'm about to figure this out right now because I'm not about to call him KC Concepcion. What is your? Is it Kevin? Yes, Kevin Concepcion, aka KC. It's like a whole highlight reel of him just getting wide open, cooking his man, and then Marcel Reed just throws it 5 yards ahead of him, 10 yards over his head, stuff like that. And it's like, wow, if he catches 10, 20 more of these passes, his stats is way better than what it is. And now I would say he just, if you get a chance, please look up his film and just how many missed throws he has. That could have gave him way more yards. But I will say he just gets open. And no, for me, I value just receivers just get open a lot. It's for some reason underrated. That kind of happened with JSN, even though he kind of was getting open a lot. Iowa State had that crazy I think Rose Bowl game he had, and he was just getting open all across the field, but people didn't value enough. So I'm just gonna value Casey getting open, and I assume it'll translate to the NFL. I'm not gonna say he's crazy fast, but I think in terms of like short area quickness and explosiveness, I would say he's probably the best out of all the actual first round considered receivers. Now when I look at big boards, he's like 15 on some, he's top 20 on others. Is more his name's getting out there, but when I first looking at him, he was like a second round projected receiver. So I guess his name's getting more value now, and Marcel Reed value is dropping even more. But there's definitely, I think, a room for him to play both outside and inside, just the way he plays the game. Now, I'll say I don't believe he's as – let me check his weight real quick before I say something that might be wrong. So if Lemon is 5'11", 192, Casey is – oh, he's 5'11", 196. I don't know. He may be able to play outside better than I thought. So, I think he's just a really smooth receiver. He gets open a lot. I think he's probably the fastest out of – I think he's faster than Tate, in my opinion. I think he's faster than Lemon. I think he's faster than Tyson, too. So, speed, something that, the NFL value, and I think we all know they value speed. There's a chance that he can go higher than what a lot of people are projecting. There's not a lot of like fluff to his routes. He cuts on a dime, gets open, and then, Marcel Reed throws the ball in the dirt or throws over his head. But he got 31 touchdowns in the last 3 seasons. He can return punts. He was even rushing a little bit. He got 3 rushing touchdowns. He gets wherever he gets the ball, he makes things happen. He makes people miss. Now, I will say he has some drop issues that could be due to his size, could be due to his quarterback, but I'm assuming in the league they'll work on that. Hopefully the drops doesn't become a real issue that stays forever, that could make this take look crazy. But overall, I think he just gets open. He's a really good receiver for his size and his weight. So, and if he bulks up a little more, go 5'11", 200, which is just like 5 more pounds, then I think he's built to play the outside, in my opinion. So, I'm curious to see what y'all think about him.
Brian, you can go ahead and I'll start talking about him, and then my next guy.
Okay. Yeah, so for Casey was pretty close. Like my 4 through 6 guys, they're all tier 2. They were all like pretty close, I feel like. Based on preference, they can be listed however you see. Like Jalen said, he's an explosive guy. I don't think he's going to be running back as many punts because he'll probably be a more important part of your offense. And on the NFL level, they usually don't have guys that are like wide receiver 2s or potentially 3s, even like running back punts like that. So he may be using a more specialized situation in terms of running back kicks and punts and stuff like that. But yeah, a guy that's made a lot of plays in the shorter intermediate area. Yeah, definitely didn't help that he had a quarterback. Like Jalen said, if he had a quarterback that actually was more consistent, he probably would be right there with maybe Makai as like Makai and probably another guy that we're going to talk about in a second, where they would probably be mid first round type of guys. I don't know if his value is going to be enough for him to go like in 15 to 20 range, but maybe there's a team like a San Francisco or somebody that sees him and decides they want to take a chance on him late in the first round. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't think I have too much more to say on that, but I do think KC's a guy that does have, in my opinion, he has more inside out versatility than probably most of the guys we're going to talk about on this episode.
Yeah, I would say he actually. My fault. Let me one more thing. You go to the next receiver. I would say he actually played more outside than actual, like Makai Lemon, for example. I'm not saying he's better than Makai Lemon because of that, but just he played more outside. I could see more proof of him actually doing it. I won't even get into the Marcel Reed talks. I'll let you go.
Yeah, like you said, he did not have a good quarterback, so that did not help his case in terms of the film because the some of probably his best routes that he would have had may not have resulted in completion, so they may not have made it onto some of his highlight tapes. So you would actually need to crunch the film to see his ability as a receiver. I have him as my wide receiver 5. If we're doing tiers, he's in my second tier of pass catchers. And there's 2 more pass catchers in this tier. But like sports fan, and I believe both Brian said, has that outside experience. I do believe once he gets to the league, it could tend to more lean into the slot for the most success. But as a true deep threat, I believe he can beat corners deep. He's not a 4.3, 4.2 guy, but 4.4 speed and a twitchy athlete with pretty good route running skills. I believe he has the ability to get open deep. With a good quarterback at the next level, can take advantage of that deep speed. Ability after the catch, I believe he has that as well, working in the slot. So I don't see much wrong with him. The only thing is the college production. A lot of it is Marcel Reed and whoever else was playing quarterback at Texas A&M. But it just wasn't as much in comparison to some of the other receiver prospects. But for him, wide receiver 5, like early on in the process, he was arguably late first round, early second round.
And they said
Once people really started to get past the highlights and start looking at, oh, he was getting open, it was just bad throws, he'll probably go top 20 in a few weeks. So that's the type of rise he's had. My 4th pass catcher, national champion, Omar Cooper Jr. I'm a big Omar Cooper Jr. fan, and it's solely, and so I've tried to get away from, I've learned from some of my mistakes in the past. I've tried to get away from some of the 6'4", 4'4" demons, and so I've never fell for the Tennessee stuff. So I'm not wasn't even thinking about Chris Brazzell. But I fell for some of the the action figure builds who can run fast. But Omar Cooper Jr. is a 6-foot receiver. He's not the shiftiest, not the best route runner. He is dynamic after the catch. I saw somebody had a tweet earlier. He runs like pause. He runs like he's like made of rubber. It's very difficult to tackle him once he gets the ball in his hands. He's very elusive. Once he has it, he has experience like a lot of the other receivers, inside and out. I believe this year he played primarily in the slot because of a few receivers that had left. But he has that outside experience as well. The one thing that I've already said that he probably needs to improve on is that true defined route running. But that is if your purpose is to use him as an outside receiver. If you're drafting him to be your slot guy, I think he has what it takes to get that done day one. So I have him currently as my 4th pass catcher. And I don't really see a scenario where he's not relevant at the next level. Like, he gets to a good situation. This is a guy who probably needs to go to a situation where there already is a wide receiver 1, a true outside receiver threat that is next to him. So he's not the primary focus of anybody's defensive scheme. But I think when it comes to getting the ball in his hands, he should be a priority for offensive coordinators. Get the ball to him so he can make something happen for your offense. And if you all have a different wide receiver or 5th receiver you want to talk about, then we can get to the next pass catcher.
No, I can talk about Omar Cooper a little bit. It's definitely funny what you say. He's definitely like, I'm looking at it right now. He has, some people are saying, some of the best, breaking tackle rates ever charted. In the last 3 drafts, class, he has the highest avoided tackle rate on receptions overall. So in terms of yak, he got to be at least number 1. He broke 27 tackles on only 69 catches, which is kind of absurd to hear. But, that's kind of what he did all year for Indiana. And I believe he's the one that had the crazy catch. Or maybe that was somebody else. Yeah, he's the one that caught that crazy catch in the back of the end zone, right? So
yeah. I think he caught that one, and he had the second and 20 play or whatever it was.
Yeah, he has insane body control for his the way he plays, and it also helps him break tackles. I don't know how he does it, but it just works. So he's not like the best route runner, but in terms of overall kind of like package of what you're kind of expecting, I think he's a really good receiver. Now, I don't know if he can be the X, but he can be a Z. He can play the slot. I think he's similar to the other receivers you talk about. I think all these you have a chance to honestly go top 20 if it comes down to it. He's just all around good receiver. Nothing too crazy, but nothing bad to say.
I don't have too much to add. Like Chris, he is my wide receiver 4, though. Definitely think he's the best yards after catch guy in the draft. I'm kind of Debo like in the way that he plays, just in terms of being able to get the ball in his hands and make things happen, break tackles. If he's sitting there at 37, even though I don't think he will be, he would be a welcome addition for New York, especially as you guys said, you already have established receiver 1 in Malik Neighbors. So yeah, that's a guy I would like to see if he's there at 37.
Yeah, for me, the next pass catcher I would like to talk about, since we're combining wide receivers and tight ends, he's in this 4 through 6 range for me. He's currently 6. Could change, though. I go back and forth. I was just talking about I'm trying not to fall for the height, weight, speed guys. And so Kenyon Sadiq, height, weight, speed to a T. 4.39 speed at tight end. Everything you want out of a move tight end. Just lacks a bit. He's not awful, but just lacks a bit in comparison to like the past couple of years. We've had some dynamite tight end prospects like Colson Loveland, Tyler Warren, Brock Bowers. Comparison to them, he's not the same level blocker. Like Brock Bowers wasn't a great blocker either. But Kenyon Sadiq, he's got a bit of work to do, but there's something there when it comes to the blocking. It's not like Kyle Pitts where it was like, this is a receiver who we're trying to move into tight end and teach him how to block day one for our system. Kenyon Sadiq has something to him in run blocking. He's just a little small. He's 240, which is a little tiny for a tight end. But height, weight, speed at tight end versus we're looking at all these tiny receivers. And if you're putting him in the slot, I'm cool with that at 4.3, 4.39, and move him in line once he develops as a blocker more so. I can't be mad at it. The team like the Rams, I wouldn't be mad at them snatching him up too early in the first round. Like I wouldn't be mad at it because this is something that Sean McVay has shown that he knows how to utilize players who play primarily in that slot at the tight end spot. And this is something that is dynamic for them. Like, there were rumors as early as the draft started that the Chiefs could be interested in him being the Travis Kelce replacement, learning directly under Travis Kelce. So, somebody I'm interested in, intrigued in as a prospect, seeing what you all think about him. But he's the final of my tier 2 prospects in this draft.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say what he can be as a pass catcher because it's just, in terms of him really running routes, there's not a lot of film. Of course, he's an athlete, and they kind of use him a lot in the seams just to tell him to go. And he can stretch a field. There's not many, linebackers that will stay with him. If it comes in, like you say, if you go to somewhere like Sean McVay or any of those McVay, Shanahan offices, I think there's, definitely ways for him to be used and utilized. But he's not, your typical tight end. I don't think he's Brock Bowers in terms of, size. I don't think he's Kittle, McBride, any of them. He's not Sam Laporta, that type of tight end and stuff like that. But there's definitely, in terms of being an athlete and putting him in situations where he can just kind of outrun a linebacker and stuff like that, you kind of have to have a DB on him to really run with him. And at the same time, he's 6'3", 241. Ain't many DBs that's going to be able to outmuscle him. So there's definitely ways to kind of utilize him where he can kind of just cook. So it's like, if he goes to the right scheme, it definitely can work. Now, if you're expecting like a real route running, complete tight end that can block, play on the line and stuff like that, he can do it to an extent just because he's still, strong as hell and, still an athlete, but that's just not how I think he's going to win in the NFL. Real D ends and stuff like that will just throw him out the way, probably. So, if you put him in the slot, similar to what they did with Travis Kelce, what they do with Brock Bowers to an extent. I'm trying to think of tight ends that kind of don't even play tight end for real. There's another one that I'm blanking on. I can't think of it. But there's ways to utilize him where he can kind of use his skill set to the best. Like the Rams, I wouldn't be surprised to do it. But if it's not teams like that run that offense, I can see why he might slide in the draft a little more, because it's like, how do you really use a guy with his skill set? He's not, your normal tight end, in my opinion. He's an athlete, so like we say, what's the name of the podcast? Trace Triumph. So he might get drafted just off that, and I can't be mad at that. Tight end around 4.3. I mean, there's offensive coordinators out there / head coaches that would love that, just to have that in the room. You can kind of develop plays not only of him getting the ball, but him being a decoy. Just they'll get our people open. So there's ways for him to be used.
I'm sure Arthur Smith would love to figure that out. So for me, he was like the final tier 1 guy for me, because I had four tier 1 guys, including receivers. So he's probably like my pass catcher 3 or 4, depending on how you see Makai Lemon. Like you guys said, probably not going to be a strong blocking tight end day one. I think he could probably improve on that, as you guys said, because he has the measurables essentially to do it. It's just figuring out if he has the technique necessary to be able to do it. But obviously, he's a guy that you're going to be able to use in different spots. He's going to be a guy that I think can stretch the defense, especially the middle of the field. Yeah, that's probably not a great comparison to use. But he's. Nah, I don't want to say that name on camera.
What that mean, gang?
You played for New England. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I can see it. Football prospect wise, I can see it.
Yes, as a football prospect, and I think it's time to. It might be time to move on.
Low key. In terms of like build and like the way they can be utilized, this is going to be a comp people not thinking. Low key, I'm not going to say undersized, because 6'2", 6'3", that's not undersized, but for a tight end, that's not the normal block inline tight end size. He kind of profiles not too far from like Shannon Sharp. Not saying he's going to be Shannon Sharp. But the way that, he was utilized in that, Broncos 90s offense, I can see Sadiq kind of be maybe used in a similar way. Not saying he's going to be Shannon Sharp. I'll never see, he's going to automatically be a Hall of Famer. But in terms of build, how they're utilized, I can see that. I don't know. Is that crazy to say? No. Again, I don't think he's going to be Shannon Sharp. I just, in terms of,
No, that actually is pretty comparable to me. He's probably more athletic than I would say Shannon was, but Shannon wasn't known for his blocking, so I'll just
exactly.
Yeah, Kenyon Sadiq, man, Shannon Sharp, or I'm not gonna say the name Brian was going to say, but we can get into the next tier of receivers, and this category I like to think of clearly flawed but talented. The guys that I have in this tier, I'll just read out. Randy Moss. Sorry.
Chris.
sorry. Chris Brazzell II, Denzel Boston, and Chris Bell. And then also Zachariah Branch. These are just the receivers. And then Eli Stowers, he is in this realm of late first to early second, mid-second guys. But this group of receivers are pass catchers, all with their flaws. Denzel Boston doesn't really have that true receiver speed. Chris Brazzell did not run a real football offense. I don't know if he's ever ran a real route, but they're saying Tennessee is like, guys, we're for real. This is the real one. Like all the other receivers we sent to you, they was fake. This one's real though. They're saying that Chris Brazzell, Randy Moss. So you got that. Chris Bell, he's coming off an injury, I believe, but they were, he was supposed to be the best receiver in the class before the injury, allegedly. Zachariah Branch, he's 5'8", 170, but super shifty and was used as a gimmick in Georgia when he was actually a pretty decent receiver at USC. But, Georgia, it's all about winning and doing what the team needs. And he was playing with a quarterback who will probably be selling insurance in a few months. And then Eli Stowers, also another tight end prospect, similar to Sadiq, just not the same level of athlete and also not a good blocker. So he's just viewed as a slightly worse prospect. But all in all, probably a good tight end. Anybody out of that group that stands out to you all that you want to speak on, talk about? I can tell SportsFan is ready to talk about Chris Brazzell. That's for all the viewers at home. Chris Brazzell is SportsFan's favorite player in the class. He sends us a tweet on him about twice a week.
Hell nah.
So
hell nah.
I'm surprised he hasn't mentioned him up to this point. I thought he was gonna have him like wide receiver 5, but
I don't know. I'll admit, as like, if you're looking just as the athlete and what they do on, I guess, as a combine warrior, I can see it. You know what I'm saying? I can see the Brian Thomas comps. I can see the Randy Moss. All those.
I saw that one today, the Brian Thomas. I seen that.
Yeah, and then you turn on the film, and then you watch that Tennessee offense, and you're like, how do you even come up with that fucking comp? Because that's not a real offense. Like Mingo said, they're not asked to run routes for real. They're just asked to run in open space because the field's so goddamn wide. They just run, and he's just running the whole time. So it's really hard to know. Can you really run a route? Can you really get open? I don't know. Sure, you can, in theory, say, yeah, fuck it. He's Randy Moss. Yeah, he's Brian Thomas. But I don't see them doing it what they did. So, we'll see. One of them teams that, probably second round say they need like a deep threat will probably draft them. And, we'll see.
He might go first round.
Oh, please.
He might go first round, bro.
Honestly, he's such a Buffalo Bills pick, so I wouldn't even be surprised. Like, that's just something they would do. One of them teams that just, the Panthers could do it, bro. I'll be real. That's a team that could do it.
Yeah, they did just draft Tet, even though Tet was a lot more polished.
Yeah,
bro, they saying this is a serious one. They're saying like this. We sent y'all a bunch of, Dante Thornton, Jalen Hyatt. I just had to look at the list of receivers that they've put out in the last couple of years, all the way back to Justin Hunter. It's like, this is the real one though. Like we're serious. This one, he didn't do it in college, but he can do it. That's what they're saying. I've seen that the Tennessee people are saying like, we run this fake offense, but that's not a stain on Chris Brazzell. If we was to run a real offense, he could do it. That's basically what they're saying, but we have no proof of that. So
if I'm reading this right, make sure I'm reading this height and weight right. This joint say he's 6'4".
Yeah.
198.
Yeah.
For comparison, KC, he was 5'11", 196. Makai Lemon was 5'11", 192-ish. Let me sure I'm reading that right. Yeah, 192. And this dude was 5 inches taller and weighed about the same as them. So I'm gonna tell you what I think is gonna happen. He's gonna play the X or the outside receiver role. And he's going to get bodied off the line. I'm curious to see what's going to happen after that. That's my opinion. What's going to happen to him? Maybe he just develops. He's really that dog, and we're going to look back in this and say, "Remember when we laughed at Chris Brazzell and he's so good now?" I don't think that's going to happen. But some teams are going to sell up themselves in the dream. They believe in the traits, and they're going to draft them. So, but on more positive. Oh, you have something to say, Mingles?
Yeah, before we move off of Chris Brazzell, I don't want everybody to think that we're helmet scouting off Tennessee, but this is something real. So let me just read out the Tennessee receivers drafted over the last years. And stop me when you hear a good receiver.
Okay.
Dante Thornton, Jalen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman. He wasn't awful. He's not terrible. Velus Jones, Josh Palmer. Not awful.
I didn't know Josh Palmer went to Tennessee.
Jawan Jennings.
I didn't know he went to Tennessee. That might be the best one.
That is the best one. I'm going to keep going, though. Josh Malone.
Don't know that
Cordero Patterson.
That wasn't a receiver. Carter Patterson.
Cordero Patterson.
He became a running back.
First round receiver. Denarius Moore. We're all the way in 2011. Robert Meacham. He was decent. 2007. Robert Meacham. That's where it ends. We're not helmet scouting guys, but
he didn't run that Tennessee offense.
It's just the curse of being.
Yeah, but that might have been a real offense.
That's just at the school, I don't know how long. I think what's his name, Josh
Heupel.
Heupel, yeah. So he hasn't been there for as amount of years that we've said, but since he's been there, that offense has produced a lot of fake stuff, and it was really headlined by Jalen Hyatt. At his pro day, or there was some workout that he had. He was talking to a Cowboy scout, and they said, well, you know what you're good for. They told him. They said, you know what you're good for. He said, what am I good for? He said, like, go balls. You run fast and go balls. And then Jalen Hyatt said, I can run routes too. And he ran the worst routes I've ever seen on air. Like, there was nobody guarding him. But they put it in I think it was Welcome to the NFL, Hey Rookie. I think it was that YouTube thing. I don't know if they still do it. They put that in the YouTube video. The routes were not good.
You're saying YouTube video? That shit on ESPN NFL Network. It might be on ESPN now because technically they brought
So it's lived on, and they put that in the final cut like he ran good routes, but they were bad then. He doesn't play good now, so it's like, unfortunately, Jalen Hyatt has really tarnished the Tennessee name, and so now it's on Chris Brazzell to save it. And if he doesn't do it, then he's just gonna mess it up for everybody else.
Yeah.
Jalen Hyatt stole Marvin Harrison Jr.'s award, and because that happened, Marvin Harrison Jr. stole Neighbors for him to. Well, I ain't get to it, but on a more positive, I think Chris Bell, if the medical check out, and you didn't say his name, but I'll throw him in there. Germie Bernard. I think those are really good potential wide receiver 2s in the league that could develop wide receiver 1s.
Yeah, he sucks,
bro.
Germie Bernard, he sucks. I'm sorry.
Come on, bro. I didn't say he's gonna be a star.
Oh no, if he doesn't suck, then Ty Simpson sucks. So you got to pick one because Ty Simpson's your quarterback.
What you mean?
Ty Simpson's your quarterback.
What I gotta do anything?
They both couldn't have been great. It's impossible. I saw too many times where Ty Simpson just missed him.
Bro, that's because I'm not even going to – it's not the QB, so we're going to get to it. Ty Simpson's about to die on that field.
Okay.
We didn't talk about O-line yet, right? Because there's a guy.
There's a guy.
Yeah.
Almost went top 20. That's fucking.
Man, it's tough. I mean, the traits, man. What can I say? J.C. Lathan got drafted. What can I say, man? Evan Neal got drafted. What can I say? It's tough. Migos say they suck, but like these guys are going to get drafted top 50 probably if the medical's tracked out. And they might never be stars, but dude, you need wide receiver 2s in the league. You need, I think, in the league I was going to say previously, you need at least 2 to 3 good receivers or receiving threats. But the Seahawks showed me now that you just need one guy. And maybe you can just cook. I still don't know how they did it. They didn't have a receiver 2 the whole year. I don't know how they did that. I'll admit, that was low-key crazy.
I mean, they had receiver. He just running in a straight line.
Cooper Kupp did just enough up the slope.
It was a trade deadline piece. I don't even know Cooper Kupp got 500 yards in the season. I really looking back on it, it's real crazy that the offense was good.
And they did that without a tight end too. They had AJ Barner just out there catching red zone passes. And
Torrey Horton held it down for like a couple weeks, but
Kenneth Walker didn't even really play into the last month of the season.
Yeah,
that's really one of the funniest scenes of all time. Just
the Raiders got them one, man. Kubiak did his thing with that team.
I'll be real. I don't know who the offense coordinator is. I got to see how he's gonna follow up what Kubiak did, because that boy, man. I don't know. Well, let's stop talking about it. But you need receiver 2s in this league for the non-Clint Kubiak offices that need those. So there's a space for those type of guys. Zachariah Branch. I mean, I'm gonna be real. Brian wanted me to talk about him because I was looking kind of. I watched probably like a minute or two of his film. There's no film to watch really. I want to say like 40 to 50% of his routes were bubble screens or like routes that was like 1 yard off the line of scrimmage. Now, that could because, like Mingo said, he went to Georgia and he sacrificed for the team. What that didn't really seem to do much in terms of winning, but he sacrificed, I guess. So that
It almost did, though.
Did it, though?
Yeah, Gunnar Stockton couldn't throw 20 yards down the field. So
You know what's crazy about that? I thought we all agreed that he couldn't do that to begin with. So I was surprised that Zachariah Branch even like transferred it there.
well,
But, NIL,
NIL and the fancy cars.
you know what I'm saying?
At least he made it out of there without a case, so that's a win.
You know that he's just fast on the field. He's not fast off the field in the car. You know what I'm saying? He's a pretty good. Zachariah Branch is a pretty good athlete. He is 5'8" though, and I don't know how many successful 5'8" receivers you guys know. There ain't many. If there's any at all. What's Steve? Steve Smith was what? 5'9"? He had to be
I
tall.
think so. I think him and Tyreek were 5'9", right?
I thought Tyreek was like 5'10". Am I tripping? Nah, maybe he was shorter.
No, you probably right.
Tyreek listed at 5'10", but
He didn't look 5'10".
that's a real 5'7" right there. Like Tyreek is 5'7". Santana Moss, he was listed 5'10" as well. I standing next to him. Phil's 5'9", 5'8". So there's a route for Zachariah Branch, but it's like you said, it'll be a road less traveled for him to be a successful 5'8" receiver. But he made it this far. Any position it would have been, tough for him, except for running back. But he's a 170, so he can't do that either. So it's like,
but I can tell you what though, you give him the ball and some space, he can make some people's miss. And Madden, he gonna have a high juke and agility rating.
Yeah.
His route run ain't gonna be that high, but you give him the ball, he can, boob out, make people miss in a phone.
Kick return gonna be pretty.
Yeah, but it sounds like a kick return specialist to me.
I mean, his comp is Kadarius Toney, so that's what the Chiefs are saying. I know me speaks to you as a Kadarius Toney fan.
What I've learned about a lot of the receivers that I've scouted over the past couple of years, a lot of basketball, football, anything, any position that you scout, you can scout the player, their performance on the field. You can't scout their mind. You can't scout the work that they're gonna put in. This is for basketball. This is for football. Like Jalen Green, one of the best basketball prospects I've ever witnessed with my own two eyes. But you can't scout the work that they're gonna put in off the court or off the field. Can't scout the mental of Kadarius Toney. You can't scout it. Nobody could have predicted that Kadarius Toney was going to retire from football, say he would rather be a rapper. You can't scout that. So it's like you can only scout what you see on the field.
What do you mean nobody could predict it?
They were questioning that, but when he got drafted.
Nobody was. No, not for real, man. They was too worried about them drops at first. The drops was the issue. And then he went out there his first few games. He had like 10 for 130 against the Cowboys. I felt so vindicated. And then they put him in. He was in number 89. That was the issue. He wasn't in a real number. And then they shipped him off. Kansas City, he was almost Super Bowl MVP. It's like the highs were there. I was right a little bit. Just a little bit, I was right. Just a little bit. Man, what a guy. I still have faith.
But he's retired at the age of 27.
No, I'm saying if it's a multiverse. If this was a multiverse, the Kadarius Toney on a different Earth. Pro Bowl.
You don't have to worry about a multiverse. You're seeing him right now. Zachariah Branch, he's right there.
All right, well, I'm rooting for him now. But he's not. Nah, he's not. He's not the same.
Yeah, he probably won't be the rapper Tony was. So that's
valid. But if he's successful, I'm gonna claim him.
That's.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Kadarius Toney got sons in the league.
I ain't gonna say what you're doing, but you're doing it with no license. I'm gonna let you.
Bro.
What?
All right. That's all right.
I'm
fine with it.
One last guy I don't think we talked about. I'm not gonna say if it's true or not. They saying Chris Bell is just on one route, on slants. He's AJ Brown. I have no clue to agree or disagree with that. I will say, for his size, I think he might be the strongest receiver. He is 6 foot 220. Like he's a big receiver. 6'2", 222. Yeah, he's probably the most physical guy in this receiver class. Him and Germie Bernard. Those are two receivers I can actually believe can block. So, teams that value blocking from the receivers, those two guys, I believe I can do that. Denzel Boston, he's gotten a lot of hype recently. Me personally, I think he's just another contested catch guy that won't translate to the league. But I thought that about Cortland Sutton. And Cortland Sutton is still in the league. So, that's his comp, apparently. Do I see that?
Do you think he could work as a Z if he's not miscast as an X?
For sure. His other comps is Michael Pittman. And, Michael Pittman's made in the league. What I want Michael Pittman as my wide receiver one. The coach sure didn't. So I don't know if I want that. But as wide receiver two, like you said, in the Z, in situations where he can kind of body up the cornerback two on certain teams, small defenders, there's a chance for that. It's hard for me to, really. You go on like Twitter, you type in players' names, and they're like, wow, he has like 3 to 5 minutes of contested catches. And you're thinking, some of these catches are really cool. But why are so many of your catches contested? Oh, because you don't get open. So, I don't really want to really value that too much. Now he's gone way high on some of these big boards. Do I agree with it? Not really, but I can see based on the size and size profile, I can see it. Once again, dudes don't run no 40s, so who knows how fast he is. But he's an athlete.
He's giving 4.5.
I didn't see it. You nicer than me. I was gonna say
they did have a running back punts though.
Hey man, they ask anybody to do that for real at this point. Let me see. He wasn't even that guy. Why was he running back punt? I'm tripping. He went to Washington. They didn't have nobody after all them dudes left. What is Jalen Pope doing nowadays? That was a random thought. But I'd say Denzel Boston got good, ball skills. So he can catch the ball. He can, the ball can be caught if it get there. Will he be able to even get there in the league? I don't know. I think NFL DB is going to knock that shit down. So, but if he somehow figure out how to get open and really, run, he can really, physical ball winner. Very similar to Cortland Sutton. But let's be real. How many players in the league are like Cortland Sutton right now? Just off the top of your head, how many do y'all think?
A lot.
Name them. Name them.
Cortland Sutton. You got Mike Evans. You got Drake London.
Mike Evans.
Drake Evans can get open.
You got Keon Coleman.
I would respect if you said Mac Hollins before you said Keon Coleman.
Just watch this year. What Joe Brady say?
I don't know why Joe Brady said that. He was already there.
He said it
like he wasn't the one already.
It's different now. It's different now. He's the man in charge. See, Sean McDermott
said no.
Him to run that. No, Sean McDermott was telling him that he wanted to play that protect the ball football.
That's the defensive-minded head coach.
Defense, yeah, that's what they do. They be wanting the offense to be running that still, run the ball. So that's what Sean McDermott was telling. No, you don't listen to me. He was telling Joe Brady to dumb down that offense. You think Joe Brady at LSU had Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, all of them boys out there one time, and Joe Brady gonna get to the league and run one receiver at a time so consistently? No, that was all Sean McDermott. So Joe Brady becoming the head coach of the Bills was the best thing that ever happened to Keon Coleman. You gonna see. Watch. And I'm drafting him in fantasy.
We'll come back to
what
this
about it?
So I'm drafting him. When the owner was sitting next to the GM who didn't got promoted,
owner don't know nothing.
When he said
owner don't know nothing,
he looked at these, said, "This isn't the GM's pick. This was the coaching staff pick."
The GM.
And if
Joe Brady made a pick,
the person who will have the most input on offensive draft picks would be the offensive coordinator.
Who was who?
Joe Brady.
Exactly.
So if you're blaming the offensive coordinator for why this draft bust happened, and then you promote that guy to head coach.
Because the offensive coordinator telling them the same thing I'm telling you. He knows how to use them. Watch.
The Bills are drafting Germie Bernard or Chris Bell. And then
just watch.
I'm scared. I really don't want
They're
to.
They're not taking a receiver. They already have DJ and Keon and Shakir. That's their core right there. Just
nigga, that shit ass.
Just watch.
So
just watch.
Oh man,
Kincaid.
This is going to lead to another opportunity for Brandon to drag
the Bills to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, I think it's going to happen here. I will say 2 more receivers that could be talked about, and that's it for me. Elijah Surratt, was on the Indiana, national championship team. I think he's a solid receiver. I'm low-key surprised he doesn't even have more stock than what he has, but I just kind of think he does everything well. Not elite. He's not a dog or anything like that, but I think he's a solid receiver that's going to get drafted a little higher just due to, his pedigree coming from Indiana and stuff like that.
Was he at North Carolina or Wake Forest before that?
JMU. He came from JMU with
so it must have been one of his other brothers.
I'm about to say he is one of them Surratt brothers, isn't he? Forgot about them.
There's a Surratt brothers thing. I didn't know that.
Chaz Surratt. He played for North Carolina, linebacker.
I believe so, yeah.
And then there's another Surratt who I think Brian was talking about who went to Wake Forest. I don't remember the name, though. Let me look it up. I don't want to say it incorrectly. Sage Surratt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are these really related or they just have the same last name? Because I'm looking on Wikipedia. It has no mention.
I don't know.
That would be interesting if they
related to somebody. I don't know if
Josh Surratt, Jalen Surratt. That's the only brothers he has.
Oh,
Josh Surratt used to play at JMU with him, and then Jalen Surratt played at high school, and that's it.
So Chaz and Sage are related, though.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. There was somebody else. One last guy.
Deion Burks.
No.
Boomer
4-3.
Owner. I mean,
also Antonio Williams out there since he's doing home team receivers.
Sometimes you need to fill up their set. Sometimes you need a Paris Campbell. That's one of them guys.
Deion Burks, fastest receiver in the class. He's going to go early.
Speaking of athletes, Bryce Lance.
Oh yeah, I was just about to say him too. I like Jacoby Lane too, though.
You said what?
I like Jacoby Lane. He's another outside receiver who can't run routes, who can make contested catches. I'm surprised he's not a little higher on people's boards.
When I'm looking at this joint, they got him compared to Brandon LaFell. That's a name.
Solid receiver.
They know better than I do.
Bryce Lance, though, he getting Alex Pierce comps, and Alex Pierce just got paid very well. So I don't know. It's hard to really say a FCS receiver is gonna be really good, but damn, that boy was fast, and damn, he ran that 40 real fast, and he jumped real high, and he jumped real far. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's a day 2 pick, maybe early day 2, because he tall and he fast, and the league love receivers that's tall and fast, as you can tell by that Tennessee receiver we was talking about earlier. So he's going to get drafted. Will he be drafted high? I hope not. Who knows? Maybe he gets drafted to play with his brother for the Chargers. They could use him. The Chargers use a lot, even knowing they just drafted a receiver like back-to-back years. They should draft another one. I'm trying to think. Was anybody else? Is that all y'all got? That's all I have.
I think that's everybody.
I
threw Antonio Williams out there.
Dribbling out of Ole Miss.
Antonio Williams, Clemson. Can't forget about him.
Nah, we could.
Okay.
We could forget about him. Easily.
Who you saying out of Ole Miss, Chris?
Dejon Stribling. Should be decent 4-4 guy, or maybe 4-3. Yeah, it's a lot. I think in the first 3 rounds, we could see almost 15 receivers go.
I think he went. Was that the guy? He kind of like last 5 games of the season, he went kind of crazy for Ole Miss. Let me look at this. Last 5 games of the season, he got
Kiffin.
420 yards. So he is
showing
fast.
up when it matters most.
there's some real athletes in this class. I mean, Malachi Fields, his name is, kind of gone off the radar here and there, but he got good hands too. I mean, I think there's a receiver for every type of architect that the league needs. Just will probably, down the years, we'll probably look back and say that's probably one of the more, trying to choose my words carefully. That's not going to give me recorded and clipped later.
No, take what's on your mind, bro.
Prospect wise, this is one of the lowest receiver classes we had in a minute. There it is. That can, really kind of a lot of receivers are going to come in the league and be starting immediately and develop into starting caliber players. Which is kind of what this draft needed. If it wasn't for the receivers, boy, this class would be awful. So thank God for the receivers. I mean, if you notice, there won't be no running back or anything like that. There won't be no running back because there's no running backs to talk about. They just don't exist. I mean, honestly, we don't even need a quarterback class episode, but we'll get to that when we get to it.
We put them back both together, so that might be the quickest episode we get.
Shit, we can loop all them joints with the O-line and just call it.
Let's talk about the running backs right now. It's just Jeremiah Love. The rest of them are actually really, really bad. This is a really bad running back class.
People are saying it's the worst ever. And I can't them. It might be just because how good Jeremiah Love is, it kind of saves it a little bit. But I think the gap between running back 1 and running back 2.
Running back 2 was his teammate.
Yeah, and I don't think
running back 2 was Jeremiah Love's backup. This is an awful class, but we'll save that for another day.
Or not. We just don't talk about it again.
Oh, yeah, we don't have to talk about them. We did miss a week. We don't got to talk about the running backs.
Sure.
If that's all we have on the pass catchers, the receivers, and the tight ends, we gave you guys 3 complete tiers, and then we gave you a bunch of other names, gave you some discussion. So, like I said, leave a comment, your favorite receiver prospect, who you're looking forward to us talking about, and then letting us know. Brian, what do we have next week?
It'll likely be either QB or lineman. We'll figure that one out.
So let us know what y'all want to see. QB, lineman, running backs. We got a couple weeks until the draft. Then we're going to get one final mock draft just in time before the draft for you all with our final prediction. Like I said, that one is going to be, what did I say, 100% correct? Yes. So that's what we're going to do on our final mock. So be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next play.